Hey, what is up, everybody? I am here to give you my vote for the NXT 2016 awards. Um, they officially doing this. I'm actually like that they doing this. WWE actually didn't even have a Slammy award this year, so I'm glad NXT kind of stuck to it, and I kind of can't wait to see these. You can tweet these out. I don't know if you still can, but if you can, I'm just going to predict them on here and say that I voted, because that's how it works. But not really. But so if these have already happened, I won't. I then it's relevant for me to do this. But if it's not, it's not. I just have nothing going on right now, and I figured why not do it. So these are they have a bunch of categories. It says there are 7 different categories for the NXT. No, actually, let me read this. As first announced by WWE COO Triple H on his official WWE Facebook page and on Twitter, voting is now underway for the NXT UN Awards. Cast your votes to determine the best of NXT from 2016, and then it shows the video. There are 7 different categories for the NXT universe to vote on exclusively on Twitter. In order to vote to for a vote to be official, you must include both of the following in your tweet. 1, the hashtag of the category, and 2, the hashtag of the nominee you are voting for. The winners of each category will be announced as part of the 1-hour NXT TakeOver San Antonio pre-show, which will take place tomorrow night, beginning at 7 p.m. 4 p. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time. On the award-winning WWE Network and across all digital platforms, the categories and nominees for each category are as follows. So I will vote on this later, but I'm just going to say what my votes are now. So for the hashtag NXT Takeover of the Year, the nominees, I'll say what they are first, and then I'll say what the hashtag is you're going to use for when you go to vote for it. It's NXT Takeover Dallas, NXT Takeover NXT Takeover Toronto, NXT Takeover the End of the Beginning, it's called, and NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2. And I'll say what my vote is, and I'll say how to vote for it, then I'll say what my vote is. So for the category, you're gonna write hashtag NXT Takeover of the Year, and the hashtag for each category is hashtag Dallas, hashtag Beginning, hashtag Brooklyn, and hashtag Toronto. And they all have a reason to be on here. You have NXT Takeover Dallas that has a really good code. It's was the first show they did during WrestleMania weekend, and it's a fantastic show. It has American Alpha beating the Revival and winning the first NXT Tag Team Championships. It has Austin Aries' debut in WWE. It has Shinsuke Nakamura's debut in WWE facing Sami Zayn. Let me just make sure. It has the great match between Asuka and Bayley for the NXT Women's Championship, and Asuka crowned as the champion, which is great. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything, because I think I did. But like I said, it has that Shinsuke Nakamura's debut and that fantastic match he has with Sami Zayn. My favorite match of the year of 2016. And it also has the really good match, but ruined by circumstances in it. NXT Championship match between Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. And obviously we have NXT Takeover. I'm just gonna kind of go in order by how it's on Wikipedia. So we have NXT Takeover the End. It has the debut of Andrade Cien Almas and his match with Ty Dillinger, which is a really a solid match. It has the great tag team match and even better match of the Revival versus American Alpha, and when the Revival became the first team to become two-time NXT Tag Team Champions. It has the great match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Austin Aries. It has the okay match of Asuka and Nia Jax for the NXT Women's title, and it has the really good steel cage match, first time ever in history of NXT, between Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. So there you go there. And then we have NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2. It has the solid match of Austin Aries and No Way Jose. It has the solid match of Ember Moon and Billie Kay. It has the really good match of Bobby Roode and Andrade Cien. It has the fantastic tag team match of the Revival and Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. It has the really good match between Asuka and Bayley, and it has the also a really good match in Shinsuke Nakamura and Samoa Joe. And then we have the last nominee. It's the NXT TakeOver Toronto. We have the really good match between Bobby Roode and Ty Dillinger. We have the really good. We have the good match between of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics, the finals between the Authors of Pain and TM61. We have the really good match, a phenomenal match between #DYI and the Revival, and a 2 out of 3 falls match for the NXT Tag Team titles. We have the return of Mickie James to the WWE in the show, facing Asuka in a really good match. And we also have the really good match, probably, the awesome match between Samoa Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura in their rematch for the NXT Championship. And we have Samoa Joe, for the first time ever in history, become a 2-time NXT champion. So overall, this is some good nominees. And I'm going to pick NXT TakeOver Dallas to actually win this award. I think that shows better than all of them. Not that they're all not good, but I think this is just the best show, just because it drew the most audience. It did really well, and it's just a fantastic show from top to bottom. It has a lot of really good moments on it. So I'm going to pick NXT TakeOver Dallas. And then we have NXT Tag Team of the Year. We have American Alpha, the Authors of Pain, TM61, the Revival, and #DYI. I'll say in a second how you vote for these awards and what you're going to do. American Alpha is a strong contention because they were a really hot tag team at NXT in the beginning of the year. They won the NXT Tag Team Championships at NXT TakeOver Dallas. They had really good matches with Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, and then a really good rematch with the Revival at NXT TakeOver the end, and then the great 2 out of 3 falls match between with the Revival and NXT on the episode of NXT. I forget what episode it is. Then you also have the Authors of Pain, who have been dominant since coming to NXT. They immediately took out the American Alpha, and they ended up winning the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics last year. So you have that. You have TM61, who immediately came into the company and on fire. They ended up taking #DYI to the limit in their first match together on NXT, and they have come close to winning the NXT Tag Team titles and the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics a ton of times. You have the Revival, who have been great all year long. They've had great matches. They have great characters, and they became the first ever 2-time NXT Tag Team champions. And they've had great matches with the teams, any team they've stepped in the ring with, whether it's #DYI, TM61, American Alpha, it doesn't matter. And they were consistent, and they've also been put into really good storylines. And you have #DYI, who were really good this year, had really good tag team matches, and won the NXT Tag Team titles from the Revival and NXT TakeOver Toronto. But if I have to give it to any team, it's the Revival for the reasons I just mentioned. #DYI really wasn't a strong point earlier in the year, not until really after NXT TakeOver Dallas. TM61 isn't their year yet. They haven't really, and it's probably not going to be their year this year since Shane Thorne's out due to injury. But they just wasn't their year this year. They had really good matches and stuff, but they really didn't accomplish. The Authors of Pain, I know they were really good this year, but I can't really pick them just because they weren't as good as the Revival. And American Alpha had a really good year in the beginning, but they were also caught up during the draft, and the Revival was still there, and they were still consistent every week. So that's who I'm picking, though, is the Revival. And the way you vote for this is you write #NXT Tag Team of the Year, and you write #American Alpha, #TM61, #Authors of Pain, #The Revival, and #DYI. So then we had #NXT Breakout Star of the Year. We have Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. We have Billie Kay, who really came up and was really great this summer after having that match with Dana Brooke and getting squashed. But they really started pushing her, and Billie Kay, and they've been kind of like the high school bullies, so you can make an argument there. You have Adrani Sanomas, who came in NXT TakeOver the end, was really consistent, was winning a lot of matches, lost to Bobby Roode, and then he finally turned heel by turning on Cedric Alexander, and then he really just upped it. Then we have Ember Moon, who came in NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2, beat Billie Kay and hasn't lost a match since. No Way Jose, who's been really good. He came in and he was the fun-loving guy of NXT, has really won a lot of matches, had a pretty good feud with Austin Aries, made it pretty far on the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic with his partner Rich Swann. And then we have Sanity, and they really made a huge impact when they came in. They came in immediately, took out Ty Dillinger, and Eric Young being in the group is definitely a great addition. They nearly won the NXT Tag Team. They nearly won the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics. So you have them who's made impacts. They haven't made a lot of impact, though, so I can't really point out. Like Peyton Royce and Billie Kay kind of started doing things later on in the year. Adrani Sanomas hasn't really done too much. Ember Moon hasn't done too much. No Way Jose, he's probably done a little bit more than the others, but because he's been there longer, but he hasn't really done too much. And Sanity's been there, but they haven't really scratched the surface with him. But if I had to say, I'm just going to say Sanity, just because I think they've kind of changed the landscape of NXT a little bit too, because NXT was always that pure wrestling force. They never really had a down and dirty stable, and Sanity's been that stable, and I think they're just really good. So I'm just going to pick Sanity. And how you vote is you're going to write hashtag NXT breakout of the year, and you're either going to write for which one everyone you vote for. The hashtags are hashtag No Way Jose, hashtag Ember Moon, hashtag Almas, hashtag Peyton and Billy, and hashtag Sanity. So next we have the NXT Female of the Year, and there's only 3 options here, which kind of is bad. But we have Asuka, Nia Jax, and Bayley. We have Asuka, who has been undefeated in NXT, and pretty much has wiped out the division, won the NXT Women's title, has beaten everybody there is to beat in front of her. Nia Jax, who's been pretty dominant, took out Bayley, wrestled for the title, so she's looked pretty dominant. And then we have Bayley, who was the champion in the beginning of the year, and they really tried to build up that storyline of having her get the title back, but then she didn't. So they've all been pretty good, but Asuka's definitely the one to go with because she hasn't lost a match in NXT, and she's been there the longest out of anybody. Bayley and Nia have been called up. Bayley was called up during the draft, and Nia was called up during the draft, and Asuka's been there. And Asuka also hasn't lost a match and has pretty much killed the division. So I'm picking Asuka. And the way you vote is you're going to write hashtag NXT Female of the Year, and you're either going to write hashtag Bayley, hashtag Nia Jax, or hashtag Asuka. And the next one, we have the NXT Male Wrestler of the Year. The options are Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, or Bobby Roode. You have Samoa Joe, who took out Sami Zayn and beat him in a 2 out of 3 falls match, became the number 1 contender to the NXT Championship, but at NXT TakeOver Dallas, lost. And then he won the title in Massachusetts, which I'm still kind of pissed I missed that show against Finn Balor in a huge upset. Well, not really an upset, but a huge shock. And then he won the first ever steel cage match on NXT. He went on to lose the title eventually to Shinsuke Nakamura, but then he went on his path of destruction and started taking everybody out. Beat Shinsuke Nakamura to regain his championship, becoming the first ever superstar to be a 2-time NXT champion. And then he lost it in Japan, and he's also now he now has the shortest reign, NXT championship reign in NXT history, and we haven't seen him since. We have Finn Balor, who was the NXT champion earlier in the year, became the longest reigning NXT champion in history, and then eventually, he defended his title against Samoa Joe at NXT TakeOver Dallas, but then he lost it. But then he competed in the first ever steel cage match, and he ended up also having a really good match with Shinsuke Nakamura, but then he got called up to the main roster in July. And then Shinsuke Nakamura, we came in to NXT right away, and NXT TakeOver Dallas, defeated Sami Zayn. He's defeated all the top stars in NXT. He's defeated Austin Aries. He's defeated Samoa Joe for the NXT Championship, defeated Finn Balor, and pretty much got rid of him off NXT before he won the NXT title. And then he lost the NXT title to Joe, but then he won it back in Japan. It became the second superstar in history to win the NXT Championship, and twice. And yeah, he's still the champion to this day. And he ended up beating Joe in a really good steel cage match. So yeah, so he has a reason. And then you have Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode is somebody that came in, and you knew he was coming in. He was pretty much the face of TNA, and he came in and he really got himself over with the Glorious thing, and he's just has really adjusted over to the NXT level. And you know, I don't think he's lost a match in NXT. He beat Eldrano Cianomas in his debut, beat Ty Dillinger. But he really hasn't accomplished all that much yet. There's still a lot they can do with him. Finn Balor got caught up, and it's between Shinsuke Nakamura and Samoa Joe. And I know I could say Shinsuke Nakamura. I could say Samoa Joe. I could go either way. I really couldn't complain, but I actually am going to say Shinsuke Nakamura just because he immediately made an impact in his first year in NXT. So Samoa Joe, though, is very close just because Samoa Joe's done a lot of things this year as well. He was really consistent in NXT. So it's pretty close between Shinsuke Nakamura and Samoa Joe. So the way you're going to vote for this is you're going to write hashtag NXT Male of the Year, and you're either going to write hashtag Finn Balor, hashtag Shinsuke Nakamura, hashtag Samoa Joe, or hashtag Bobby Roode. Then next we have the NXT Competitor of the Year. So now this is all of them combined. We have, I'm not going to get into the reason why, but we have Samoa Joe, Asuka, Finn Balor, Nia Jax, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bayley, or Bobby Roode. I'm not going to give it to Nia Jax because I don't think she's all that good. She sucks. Bayley was caught up in July, but she did do a lot, but she wasn't there all year. Finn Balor kind of wasn't really there all year either. Bobby Roode kind of hasn't really done a lot yet in NXT, so I can't give it to him. So it's between Samoa Joe, Asuka, and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, this is kind of a tough one because you have Samoa Joe who was, really good, and you have Asuka who was really good. I'm not going to give it to Samoa Joe because now I also did put it in mind he really wasn't on TV as much as Shinsuke Nakamura was. When he was on when he won the title the first time, they were still kind of building to Shinsuke Nakamura, so he wasn't on. So there was kind of a month where Samoa Joe wasn't on TV, but he was still really good. So then you have Asuka and Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm gonna say Shinsuke Nakamura just because he had a really huge year this year. Yes, he's lost a couple of matches and stuff, but he's really over. And Asuka's, I think, been great too. But I can't really decide. And it's pretty much the same hashtag, except you're gonna for the actual nominees. Except this time you're gonna write hashtag NXT Competitor of the Year. Then we have the NXT Match of the Year. There's actually a lot of them, a lot of options to pick from. We have Finn Balor versus Shinsuke Nakamura from NXT TV, July 13th, 2016. We have an NXT Women's Championship match from NXT TakeOver Toronto, NXT Women's Champion Asuka versus Mickie James. We have a NXT Tag Team Championship match, NXT Tag Team Champions American Alpha versus The Revival from NXT TakeOver The End. We have a match between Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura from NXT TakeOver Dallas. We have a NXT Women's Championship match from that same show. NXT Women's Champion Bayley versus Asuka. We have a NXT Championship number one contenders 2 out of 3 falls match between Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe from NXT TV, February 17th, 2016. We have the steel cage match for the NXT Championship between NXT Champion Samoa Joe and Finn Balor from NXT TakeOver The End. We have a 2 out of 3 falls match for the NXT Tag Team Championships. NXT Tag Team Champions The Revival versus hashtag DYI from NXT TakeOver Toronto. We have a match between Bayley and Nia Jax from NXT TV July 20th, 2016. We have Ty Dillinger versus Bobby Roode from NXT TakeOver Toronto. We have Neville versus Finn Balor from NXT TV March 2nd, 2016. We have a NXT Championship match from NXT TakeOver Toronto, and NXT Champion Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe. We have a 2 out of 3 falls NXT Tag Team Championship match between NXT Tag Team Champions The Revival and American Alpha from NXT TV July 6, 2016. So you have a lot of options here. You have I'm just going to, all these matches I think are really good. Some of these matches I actually forgot about, like the Balor Neville match, but I kind of remember it now. I remember the, I think the Bayley Nia Jax one I slightly remember. But the one I'm going to go with is probably going to be, this is my favorite match of the year just because it's a good in-win match. And it's just the first experience I had with Shinsuke Nakamura, and it was Sami Zayn's final match in NXT. It was a passing of the torch, and it was kind of the start of the process of building up Shinsuke Nakamura, and that's the NXT TakeOver Dallas match between Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura. It's a fantastic match, and I would watch it again if I could, which I can. So I'm going to pick that match. The other matches that are on here definitely deserve to be on here. The 2 out of 3 falls match between hashtag DYI and The Revival. That's a fantastic match. The steel cage match between Samoa Joe and Finn Balor deserves to be on here. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Finn Balor deserves to be on here. Alpha versus Revival, probably in the 2 out of 3 falls match, deserves to be on here. Nakamura versus Joe from TakeOver Toronto deserves to be on here. And what else deserves to be on here? Yeah, those are the other matches. So let me just kind of say how to vote for this one. So you're gonna write hashtag NXT match of the year, and for the categories you're gonna write hashtag Finn versus Shinsuke, hashtag Asuka versus Mickey, hashtag Alpha versus Rival End, hashtag Sammy versus Shinsuke, hashtag Bayley versus Asuka, hashtag Sammy versus Joe, hashtag Finn versus Joe, hashtag DYI versus Revival, hashtag Bayley versus Nia, hashtag Dillinger versus Roode, hashtag Neville versus Finn, hashtag Shinsuke versus Joe, and hashtag Alpha versus Revival NXT. And you vote now for all your favorites of 2016 on Twitter, and don't miss the action of NXT TakeOver San Antonio tomorrow night. It all begins with the announcement of the NXT year-end winners during the 1-hour NXT TakeOver pre-show at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Watch the pre-show for free on WWE.com, the WWE app, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and Pinterest, and then that's it. So I'm really looking forward to watching the pre-show now a little bit, because it's going to be interesting to see who wins these awards. And I'm going to go vote for these. I'm probably going to vote for them when I get home, because I'm going to go home soon. And that's pretty much it, guys. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and all my other channels. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.